18 races in this weekend, halfway point of the season. What's a grade for the number 9 team?
I feel like it's been solid. I don't know, B plus. I think we've been really good in a lot of categories. You know, I ultimately think really we've checked every box that I want to check outside of maybe just having a couple more wins on the year, but really and truly, I think it's more just about running well and running well consistently, and I've just kind of always been a believer that I think if you're doing that, your opportunities to win are going to be there, and I think we're doing all the right things to have those chances. So would like to have a couple more to this point in the year, but honestly, being good here in the second half and from end of September on is the key, and I think that we're continuously improving and have had good direction, so I'm happy with where we are.
So just an assessment of NASCAR as a whole, not your team specifically, but as a whole, what would be the highlight of the season? I just asked Joey this in the media availability. So I'm kind of asking everybody, just trying to get a sense of, we're halfway through the season, what is your highlight? And I'm not going to tell you what he said because I don't want to influence your decision.
Just trying to think back on it.
I mean, obviously you winning would be the highlight.
Sure. Yeah, but I'm going to look at it like a fan.
Right, that's right, exactly.
I'm trying to think of all the things that have happened. They run together. I mean, they've had a couple close finishes. I mean, I think about Kansas and the finish at Kansas kind of being an exciting, really a good race all the way through. I mean, the finish was great. I don't always think that just a good finish makes for necessarily a good race, but I thought that was a good race. We've had bad races too. Without me sitting here and thinking about it for a few minutes, right. Kansas is the first thing that comes to mind.
So I was looking at your dad's, and the number for your dad, 37 total years from first race to last.
Wow.
Full-time seasons 20. So 44 Cup wins. So I mean, do you ever look at yourself and go, can I do what my dad did? I mean, maybe not the 30 some odd years, but I mean, do you see yourself running 20 full-time seasons? Because you're 9. This is your 9th full-time season.
I know, it's crazy. Crazy, almost halfway to his number, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly a different time, I think, now than what it was then. And the big thing that in hearing those numbers that's kind of crazy is he didn't start as young as I did. So he really didn't get into it until he was in his latter 20s, I believe. He was in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. And I'm in my late 20s now and halfway to his amount of full-time season. So I don't know what the future brings as far as where things go or whatever. But I just kind of look at where I'm at right now and feel like I got a great opportunity, obviously with a great team in Hendrick Motorsports, but a really good team with just the 9 group in particular, and proud of what we've accomplished and kind of built over the course of these last 9 years. It's such a marathon. It's not necessarily a sprint, and it's about good personnel and good people, and I think Alan has led this team in a really good manner over the course of my career, and just proud of our growth together, and we've had a lot of the same guys throughout the course of my career here too, which I think is really cool. Certainly have had some turnover throughout that time, but a large majority of our core group is still together, which I think is special. And I think as long as we're doing it together and having fun, then hopefully we'll continue to have the opportunity from the boss to keep rolling.
What would you tell your 10-year-old self about life and racing?
From 10 to now, a lot has changed for sure. I think I just continue to learn, in life and in racing. I think as time goes on, and every year that I get older, I think I learn new things, and I might look at something a little bit differently, or I think as you get older, you really just start to understand and recognize priorities on the racetrack and off the racetrack, or at least that's kind of where my head has gone over the course of my later 20s here, and I think that'll continue to change, as time goes. I'm not sure if that ever stops. I've never met a human that, whether you're 35 or 55 or 75, that hasn't figured out. So I don't think anybody ever figures it out. I think you just be open-minded and try to keep your eyes on the things that matter, and let the rest of it sort itself out.
What's the most bizarre thing you've seen on the racetrack?
I've seen a lot of bizarre things over the course of my career. I mean, it'd be really hard to pick one. I mean, just from the short track racing days to racing at places where the lights go out, or you have some animal running across the road during a race. Crazy stuff happening in a race, whether it's people getting into it or just, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot, because if you really think about, yes, it's been 9 years in Cup, but it's really been, more like 15 years racing pretty competitively and pretty seriously. So it's a lot goes into that amount of time.
Tell me the one word that best describes you as a person.
Man, I don't know. I have always found those questions tough to answer. I just don't really know that it's for me to say, in a lot of ways. I just I like to go about my business and go on down the road.
So tell me about your relationship with Ryan. I mean, I know you guys went to Amsterdam, was it 2017? Have y'all gone on any other trips? Because it's unique, you're competitors,
Yeah.
but you have this really close relationship. So talk to me about that relationship and why it's so special.
Yeah, we've, obviously I've known Ryan for a long time, and I knew him, when we were kids growing up around the racetrack with his dad racing and my dad racing at a similar time. So we kind of always had that relationship, and then ultimately we had a very similar path to getting here, and we spent a lot of the same, or many of our younger years in racing going to the same racetracks and racing the same kind of cars. So that was really, I feel like, when our relationship grew. We started to spend more time around each other. When you're on the road a lot, it's nice to have a buddy, and he was definitely that guy for me, and it just kind of so happened that our paths crossed, and I think even more cool that we both have been fortunate enough to live out our dreams and to make it here, and to I would say for the both of us, if our careers ended tomorrow, we've lived a vast majority of our dream already, which I think is really cool, and that's just not something you get to see every day with somebody that you're close to and respect. So yeah, we've obviously that's more the racing side and the personal side. We've taken a lot of really cool trips and traveled the world, and seen a lot of cool things. Haven't gone anywhere in the last couple of years. Kind of back to your question about life, everybody gets busy and things change a little bit as you get older, but hope we can keep our trend going. We were on a great run there for a few years of going to some really cool places and seeing seeing a lot of the world. So I have had aspiration to continue to do that, whether it's while we're still racing or after. I think those things are important to do if you have the opportunity to do them. So we've been fortunate to do a lot of that.
What's the most significant change in NASCAR in the Cup Series since you've been here?
Since I've been here, it's been the transition to the next gen car, for sure. I mean, and honestly, I'm not sure there's ever been a change that is quite that large, or a change that has been that much of a departure from a previous generation vehicle. It's just different, and I think that it has challenged, drivers and teams alike, and just pressing you in different areas that, the old generation car didn't, because even when that car changed, even when a body changed, the suspension components never really did. So you had a lot to build from, from one generation to the next generation. But with this one, everything was like white clean, and I'm not sure that that's ever really happened in NASCAR. But also at the same time, this was the first generation car that I had the chance to really see firsthand and be a part of. We'd had some small rule changes, like, big spoiler, high downforce, small spoiler, more power a little early on in my career. And they started cutting the power back and tried going small on the spoilers. They didn't like that, went big on the spoilers. So it's been kind of all over the board from that standpoint. But this car has definitely been the biggest one since I've been here.
Where do you see NASCAR heading in the next 10 to 20 years?
Man, I don't know.
Because you really have a perspective from your father,
Yeah.
and now this. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously you've seen things
I've definitely
change.
seen a lot, at least for my age, and not only have had a chance to see it firsthand, right, but I'm around my dad and my uncle, and I hear them talking too. So I don't know. I'm not sure where they want to go. Obviously, there's a lot of talk of what the electric side of the world is going to bring. I think that's going to be driven. To me, that's the most popular question, right? And I'm sure that's kind of what you're getting at with that. But I don't really know. I think society is going to determine that probably more than anything as time goes. What laws are going to be put in place over the course of the next 10 to 20 years that ultimately trickle down and force them to have to, make a change, or not. But I don't know. I know that NASCAR, they're always, trying to think ahead at least and understand what, and try to be prepared for whatever that next step is. I really think anything is on the table. Standpoint and just being involved with these teams, I just hope that they give the teams a good opportunity to not only financially be able to take on big changes as they come along in a fair manner, but also just timely too, and giving people enough time to develop and get things where they need to be. So we'll see. I think anything's on the table, and over the course of that amount of time.
Last question: where do you see yourself in 20 years?
20 years. In 20 years.
10 years, 20 years, you pick. But
Yeah.
what in the future?
In 20, probably not here.
Okay.
I would say. I mean, at that point, I'd be what, almost 50, which is kind of crazy. I don't see me making it to 48, racing. But who knows? Who knows? I don't know what tomorrow brings, much less 20 years from now. So I'm very much a day by day and a week by week person, and just trying to take it a step at a time and kind of see where the road leads me, and try to enjoy it. If things are going good and you're having fun, I think that opportunities are going to be there, and I've enjoyed the road this far. Fans have been great to myself and my family and our team, and I really enjoy a group of guys we have. And like I said, I hope we can all stay together for a long time, and I hope that if we're doing that, the boss will have me back, and we can keep rolling.